Welcome to AI in 5 with Snorkel AI. Today we're going to talk about LLM observability and Gen AI evaluation. My name is Elena Boyarskaya. Let's get started. So when we think about LLM systems in production, we are faced with some concerning headlines of chatbots giving their own information to customers or agentic workflows giving discounts that don't belong. Simply these systems not representing the business needs and goals of the enterprise. So this is where we must, absolutely must, consistently and continuously monitor these systems to make sure that they're giving the correct responses to customers and then that they're aligned with our enterprise needs. This is where LLM observability comes in. And the crux of LLM observability is monitoring these systems and continuously evaluating that everything is going as expected, according to plan. There's no drift, there's no hallucinations, but furthermore, that the customers are getting the experience that your enterprise desires, that your enterprise is expecting. So when we think about the issues with Gen AI development, first and foremost, we see that it's suffering from poor evaluation. The lack of an automated way of evaluating your system is likely leading you to have some manual spreadsheets or processes that are very slow, inconsistent, and hard to scale. Next, there's also a lack of transparency in our evaluation because it's really hard to trace decision logic, especially when you're building an agentic workflow. Where is the error happening? How do we figure out where the failures are? Next, if we do have some automation using an LLM as a judge, for example, we're going to have some disagreement with our subject matter experts. And this we see this time and time again. So we'll have an automated way of evaluating the system. So at least we're consistent. But then when we include some of our human in the loop evaluations, we see that there's disagreement. And this is concerning because we need to figure out where do we put our trust? Where do we go from here? It's very confusing. And then finally, there's no clear feedback loop. We need to have a reliable way to improve performance of our system. And we need to have a way of, okay, well, identified the error, where do I go to next to keep improving my agentic workflow or chatbot, etc. So Snorkel's approach to LLM evaluation is geared to be robust and auditable. That is at the crux of it. So we're looking at building specialized evaluators that represent your business needs. That this is our foremost goal, is to make sure that everything we're doing is aligned with the business. Next, we are going to make a fine-grained evaluator to measure the quality and pinpoint where these models are failing. And this can be infinitely fine-grained. Next, we're going to include SME in the loop. This is at the crux of everything we do, is including human in the loop feedback. So we want to capture the expert knowledge that your enterprise already possesses, and we want to make sure that we align any automation that we introduce to the process with your SMEs. Finally, our approach is really programmatic. We think about LLM evaluation just like software development. We want it to be consistent, transparent, and continuously improving. So here's an example of the workflow that we're developing an LLM or an agent, and we're focusing on evaluation first. So we start with a benchmark data set where we develop something that give our system an example of what good looks like. This definitely includes our subject matter expert feedback. Then we develop the criteria and the evaluators. Where do we slice and dice the way we look at the system? And that leads us to identifying the errors in the system. It's going to highlight where these agentic workflows are underperforming. And this is going to give us next step. As a result, we can then continue to improve our benchmark data sets and then continue to improve our criteria and evaluators, continue to slice our data in meaningful ways for the enterprise, and continue to identify the errors in our systems that we're building. Next, we're going to take this error analysis and we can then look at the prompts we're using. We're looking at maybe reinforcement and fine-tuning, or distilling and optimizing our LLMs. This might be looking at latency, may be looking at consistent response and delivery. So this also unlocks the error analysis that we identify can unlock a plethora of other things that relate to LLM observability to ultimately come up with a system that we're ready to put into production and serve our customers in alignment with our business needs.